your computer.
All right. Welcome to another episode of the Encroachment podcast. As always, I'm Tim. I'm here with John Simon, who was with us in Jacksonville this last weekend. I want to thank John. He's one of the lone survivors that's still standing on 2 feet after this weekend. I think the heat in the bars took a lot out of all of us. I'm surprised I'm even here. But start things off, I always, wrapping up an event, just want to give a big shout out to Jimmy Bush. He ran a great tournament start to finish. He had an army of volunteers. A lot of them have never been around this whole tournament aspect before. They just did a great job. They made sure everything was running on time. All the refs were fed, had water, all the little things that we ask for. So I know between the referees and the staff, they don't get as much praise as, it's a thankless job a lot of times. So I just want to give a good shout out to them before we start with everything. But John, how was your weekend? How was your experience in Jacksonville?
It was good. It was good. Jimmy did an excellent job. Everything was run very smoothly, so much so that you didn't know when there was an issue or wasn't an issue. He's detail-oriented, and I heard there was a small little thing that was going on Friday, so he showed up to the meet and greet a few minutes late just to take care of that, just to make sure that it was done correctly over the fields. And that, you know what, those little details are missed by our players and such, and he did a fantastic job. The weekend was good. It was chock filled with interesting stuff, but it was fun. Got a really nice tan and really good buzz a couple times, and hoarse voice, and it was fun. It was a good weekend. Jacksonville is always fun. One of my favorites.
Yeah, it's definitely a sleeper tournament. I tell people who've never been there, why Jacksonville? And I say, well, why not? You're going to get a great experience. You're going to have fun. You're going to party on the beach, cheap drinks. I mean, if you can get there for a reasonable price, there's no reason you shouldn't go. It's definitely one of those sleeper picks that you would never guess to be just an incredible weekend. But it is.
Flying to Orlando. I mean, Orlando's not that far away, and usually there's pretty good flights in and out of there too. So it is. It's good. Yeah, Atlanta.
Yep. So we'll start. We'll touch on Friday night. I know you and I crossed paths a little bit at the meet and greet.
Sure.
We booked a pretty interesting venue right on the beach, little tiki bar. Yep. Had these like $2-3 Gatorade specials. I think that just set the pace for the entire weekend. If I look like shit right now, it's probably still because of those Gatorades.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we just had everybody kind of piling in. Some people, meatballs came from the golf course. Some people were just getting off a plane, but that didn't really stop anybody. We were just playing games. I don't know.
It was kind of funny because when it started, there weren't that many people there, and by the time it was supposed to end, it was packed. So people decided to come out and make their appearance around 7:30, 8:30, when the event was supposed to be wrapping up, or you're supposed to get dinner or whatever it was. And when I was looking around, everybody had just started to get there, and it was pretty good attendance at that point. But yeah, those $3 Gatorades were pretty good. That's for sure.
Yeah. I ended up leaving my credit card there, so I looked at my statement Saturday morning, and I saw I had opened 5 separate tabs at 5 separate points. Because just like you said, every time you think, oh, it's about time to leave, nope, more people show up. All right, let's do another one.
I did 3 separate tabs, so yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so going into the Saturday, we had the nice little Coed event. It was an incredibly short day for 2 reasons. I mean, it was a bigger tournament, only 8 advanced, but I think what made it so short is that we had no buys during pool play. So we had 3 pools of 6, and I think that's what it was. I'm drawing a blank. Yeah.
6. Yep.
But yeah, 3 pools of 6. So no buy rounds. Pool play was done very quickly. It was done by about 1:15, 1:30.
Yep.
So, just want to touch on some of the things that we saw. Anything stand out to you, John?
Everything went rather smoothly. And I would say out of the 8 teams that advanced, 6 absolute favorites, no doubt. I mean, if you looked at the pools, you saw Sitch, you saw the Meatballs. Those 2 teams were going to get out of that pool. You saw Cobra Kai and Shockwave out of our pool, out of the pool I was playing in. No doubt that they were going to get out too. I mean, notwithstanding a surprise or whatnot. And then the one pool that was a little up in the air, Flying V, you knew was probably going to get out. And then you had Adrenaline, Bayou Ballbusters, Renegades, I think were in that pool too. And Gorilla Juice Heads had a shot too. Legit in my pool, us in Cat 5 in our pool had a shot too. There was a lot of that 7 and 8 spot really came up for grabs. That's what I saw. There was a lot of competition for that. And I think the Renegades went 2-1-1.
Yeah, what actually separated them from everybody else was that they squeezed out a tie. And I'm drawing a blank on who they tied at the moment, but that's what set them above the pack, because there were 4 or 5 other teams that were tied at 2-2. Only one other made it in. The other 3 or 4 were out.
Right.
So
it's tough. 8 out of 18. You have to. If you're not 2-2, you have no chance. If you're 2-2 and have a run ratio that's around 500 or even 60%, 600, you have no chance almost. Our run ratio is pretty good and it allowed us to get out. And the Renegades, I think they tied. They had one. I can't remember. Unfortunately, I'm not looking at it right now. And I know the Juice Heads had a tie that set them at 1-2-1. There was a couple of close games in that pool, and I think Bayou Ballbusters had it in front of them, and I think they lost that last game, like 8-1 or something like that, and that was the one that set them back.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. But speaking of the Renegades, that's one of the teams I definitely want to touch on. I only got to see them for a little bit, but a lot of people were whispering, okay, this is a team that's up and coming. This is a team with the right pieces. I guess, according to a few people, their Charger has one of those cannon of an arms that probably harder than anybody else. Kind of makes me want to dig out and buy a whole bunch of batteries for the radar gun and bring it out one of these events. It really does throw.
We can all blow our arms out. Yeah, that's a good idea. You know what? They've been a kind of a conglomerate and a good one for this year that kind of snuck up on some people in both tournaments that they've been in. And now this is their 3rd tournament, I think, and snuck in there again. So they're legit. There's no offense to legit, but they're a legitimate contender and team. How did they do? They were the 7 seed. So they faced off against 2, which was who was the 2 seed? Do you know?
In that
Flying V. Do you know how they did against Flying V? I know they lost, but
oh gosh, I could try to pull it up while we talk.
No, but I was just curious if you knew.
I can't remember. So many games happen. I can't even remember all of them off the top of my head. But
it is interesting coming from playing 4 games and then all of a sudden being in the round of 8. There's 1 less game, 5 less innings, 6 less innings that you have to worry about to figure out how to rest your third baseman, catcher, pitcher, some of your other key guys, and that's a different dynamic. All of a sudden, we have 2 pitchers there, and I'm looking up at the final 8 and going, okay, well, my number 1 could now go, because if we're in a final 16, you're trying to dice it up and figure out a way that your number 2 can get a few innings up. And I don't know if some of the other teams that went through that, but we were able to throw our better pitcher, and he did a great job, and it helped us get through that round of 8. I wonder if the other teams kind of noticed that. It was big, it was a big jump, because all we've done was play 16s.
Yeah, I mean, I know you guys went straight to your starting defense. I did see quite a few teams though, right in that round of 8. They were playing some of their pool play guys, but just once again, it all depends on the matchup.
We had nobody left. We had 12 people to start, and I think by the time we were in that top 8, we only had about 7 or 8 healthy bodies anyway. So, but it didn't matter. We had to go with what we had. They were,
I know. I kept walking by, and a couple different times, someone's like, "Here, just throw on a jersey. We need you." And I'm like, just laughing.
I bought an extra medium, so.
Yeah. So, but anyways, going in another thing I want to touch on before we get into the round of 8. Just want to touch on just showing you how close everything can be. If you guys were following at home, there was the team from North Carolina, some Georgia people, a Vailable's team called the Rainmakers, that almost beat Sitch in pool play.
That's awesome.
And, they were beating them 1-0 going into the 5th inning. And all it came down to was Sitch got a couple base runners on, and then I think it was Duncan kicked him in with a triple.
Wow.
And it was so close to the point where the outfielder was running, and the ball literally just went right off the fingertips as he's running. Literally inches away from going from, okay, Sitch is a potential champion to, I think they would have had to face the Meatballs in the first round of elims.
Yeah.
So they would have had to face each other 2 times in a row.
Wow.
It shows you how just one play can change the entire day or the entire outcome of a tournament.
I looked at the scores throughout the day, and I saw a lot of close scores that I didn't even expect. I saw a legit steal one from Cobra Kai 2-1, and then Cobra Kai comes back and steals one from Shockwave 7-5. But then that was in the pool that I was in. Then I saw 404 had a couple close games, and I saw the Juice Heads had a couple close games, and a couple of the other teams that, losing 7-6 or losing, by 1 or 2 runs. I mean, anything could have happened in those games. It could have turned their tournaments around, because deciding the 7 and 8 seeds, obviously, and 9 and 10 and 11 and 12 were all really close. It was interesting to see.
It was hilarious watching it. I couldn't believe it. Okay, Cobra Kai beat Shockwave. Great. What's your reward? Oh, you get to play Shockwave again immediately in the very next game. This time it's for everything.
Yeah. Unreal.
And then, that game was interesting because that actually went into accuracy kick. It was a good game. And I'm not the biggest fan of accuracy kick, but for the sake of a game that could easily have gone another, 12 innings, 13 innings, we don't need one of those ever again.
I've been on both sides of that one. I've been on all sides of that one.
It was one of those games that could have easily just kept going and going and going. But
yeah, no doubt.
Settled the accuracy kick, and Cobra Kai beat Shockwave twice in a row, which that right there is pretty damn impressive.
Extremely.
People can say they beat them once.
Shockwave is an excellent team, and that was very impressive. Watching Cobra Kai, just the play at. Did you see the play at the end of the game to hold into a tie? The girl made a catcher.
Yep, I was right there. Yep.
Oh, that was an awesome play. Basically, she made the play. She got the ball, put it basically right in front of the plate, and the kid slid right into it. It was bang, bang. It was the right call. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. A lot of people, I think, saw that at home because I was definitely live streaming that one. So
yeah, that was a great game.
Yeah, I'll be sure when I get to editing, that'll be one of my high priorities here. I just finally transferred all the footage all day today to my computer, so I'll get to work on that on the airplane on the way back. But so moving into the round of 8, obviously the big news from that involved your team, Cat 5, playing the Meatballs.
Yep.
Give us a nice little recap of what happened in that game.
That game was interesting. I could recap that for a long time, and I'm sure we may get some emails about it, but that's okay. It was a great game overall. Just in general, it was obviously a close game, and the Meatballs are a team that I'm extremely familiar with. I have some great friends on that team. Maybe had some great friends on that team, but I know everybody on that team, guys and girls, and they're a good bunch. The first inning was probably what set the tone. I'll touch on every part of it. They scored 2 runs. The first run they scored just moving people over and getting the run in, and then with 2 outs, Corey Holland hit a bomb just over my center fielder's head on his fingertips, and he got hurt on the play. So after the inning, we were down 2-0, and he had to come off, and he was done. Do you want me to go into lineup stuff too? You want to hear about everything?
I can just go through the game. I caught the first half of the game, but I mean it was a great first half. I caught all the way up until basically what the final score ended up being. But if you just want to go through the game, by all means, go for it.
Yeah, I'll go through it.
I don't know if anyone was filming that, so I don't know if that'll ever see the light of day.
I know Matt Kelly at one point knocked the camera down, so there was a film. It was filming at one point. After that play, I actually, and there were literally 3 points of controversy in here. But after that play, my center fielder got hurt, and we had cleared out, and I went over to the captain, which is Matt. He was the acting captain for that game, I assume for the day, and also brought up the referee, which is Derek, who did a nice job overall during the day, and said, "Listen, we haven't started our lineup as of yet. I'm not sure of what the rules are." I said, "But Eric is out. He's done. He can't play anymore." So I said, am I able to make an adjustment where I can slide Corey? This was actually Corey Tiger into that spot. I said, I don't know what the rules are, and they may be ambiguous as far as the start of the game because we haven't started our lineup. I can tell you in past that I've had people say, "Hey, I'm going to make an adjustment to my lineup before they kicked," and I was fine with it. And that was with whether it was in pool play or whatnot. But the Meatballs being people that I know very well, I went up and made sure that they were included into the conversation. It was Matt and Dave and a few others. And, I said, "Here's the deal." And they said, "What changes are you making?" I said, "I'm just slotting Corey up into that spot, and that's it." And I said, "Eric's done." And, we went back and forth a little bit, and I did not argue anything more than I'm not sure what the rule is. And they didn't have a rule book, and I didn't either. Derek, our ref, probably did, but didn't check it, and everybody just agreed upon it was fine. And they asked me what the change I was going to make is, and they agreed upon it, and it was fine, not a big deal. I didn't think it was a big deal either at the time, and it really, in all honesty, it probably didn't decide anything, in my opinion. In any case, we ended up tying the game up in the bottom of the first. So it was 2-2, and then we took a lead on a triple. I think in the fourth inning, back when our top of the lineup got there again. So it was 4-2. And then in their side of the inning, which I think was the top of the fifth, this is where another point of controversy was. With one out, they had a first and second, and Corey Holland hit a double that landed. The ref said it landed on the line. My third baseman and catcher thought otherwise, that it might have landed foul. But it was called fair. The third base ref called it fair as well. And they went to second and third, and it was 4-3. We still had the lead, but one out, and they had the middle of their lineup up. And it was second and third. So at that point, I looked over at the lineup because I'm looking to see who I can walk to set up a force and what the rest of the lineup is. And I don't see Corey's name on there at all. And I just see Tunes is actually the four batter, and he's up next. So I went up to our referees, and I actually called I called Matt in there and called their captains in there and said, "Hey, your lineup's not right." I said, "This is what I have," and showed him everything. And I said, you guys need to decide talking to the refs, what the proper penalty is. I said, my opinion is that Corey should be out. Everybody should go back, but his homer, which he kicked a homer in the first inning, should count because I didn't catch it at that time because I didn't look at the lineup. I didn't even think about it at that point. The only reason, if he stops at first base and it's first and third, I would have never known that Corey wasn't in that lineup. I felt horrible about it. Horrible, because this is the last way that I ever want to win a tournament or a game, or it didn't win us the game, but it put us in a better position, needless to say. So I immediately told him, I'm like, this is horrible, but I have to point this out. I have to rely on my team. I have to go back to my team, and they're relying on my decisions and my thoughts and what my actions are going to be. So I can't say, no, it's okay, don't worry about it. We've had this happen a couple times, as you know. Flying V's done it a couple times. Once was by mistake, and I'm not sure how the other one went. Maybe it's happened in other tournaments too, but it was enforced, and it needs to be enforced because I'm 100% sure that the Meatballs did not do this on purpose. 100% sure. But there's a team out there that may or will or bend rules at some point, and those things need to be taken care of, and you need to do that. But I let that decision fall in their hands. They went through the rule book, which they obviously had at that point, and they decided that it was correct that Corey was out. They called everybody back, and Corey was done for that game, and it was still 4-2. And they weren't able to press the runs across, and we were able to press on and come away with the 4-2 victory. And it was a big win for us, obviously, and they'll probably hate my guts forever for pointing it out. But how do you, as a manager, captain, not look at a lineup and say, okay, I see this mistake, meaning me. I see this mistake. It's obvious. How can I not call this out? How can I not say this to the referees? How can I, not only that, but it keeps, Corey can't even pitch anymore after that. I owe it to my own teammates. So that was that. And I caught a little bit of flack from that. Well, I caught a lot of flack from that. But
well, if you don't do it, your own team's going to call for your own head. So
they would absolutely, and I owe them. Those are the people that I'm in the huddle with. If anybody tells you that they wouldn't do that as a captain, they're 150% liars. If the Meatballs are playing situation and the same thing happens in the 5th inning and they see Keith is not in the lineup and he just kicked a 2-run bomb or double or triple, whatever, and they don't think they're going to say, hey, listen, he's not in the lineup, 1,000,000% not going to happen. And if they were ever to go back to their team and tell them that afterwards, they would lose their head too, my opinion. But I think we're all on the same page there.
Yeah, it's just one of those, sucks to be a part of either way. You're never going to make any friends or.
No, hated it.
I don't need you. I don't ever want to be in that position.
No, but you know what? When you're a captain, you sign up for that. You sign up for the fact that you are responsible for the lineup being correct. You sign up for the fact that you're responsible for calling out things like this as well, and it all falls on you in those situations. The fact is they could have tied it up, probably would have. We had the bottom of the 6th. We had the top of our lineup. The last 2 times that we had the top of our lineup up, we scored 2 runs. So, things looked pretty promising for us anyway. Who knows? They're good. They're a great team. They're not a good team. They're a great team. And they have some great people on that team. Most of them are. This too shall pass, I guess.
Yeah, I just think they're cursed. 4 years in a row, they've never won Jacksonville. There's a curse.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So, but yeah, moving on from that game. So you guys advanced to the semis, which I don't think anybody predicted. But hey, kudos to you guys. I just hope whatever happens, you guys keep that team together, because I know that, the next tournament you guys attend, people are going to be, okay, are they going to make the Final Four? They're going to be a sleeper to win it. And I think you got some good pieces there.
Yeah, no doubt. We came into this tournament pretty shorthanded too. We came in with 8 guys and 4 girls. One of our better guys got stuck in St. Lucia for work, believe it or not. But we were missing some key components too. And this is, it's a new team, and you need everybody you can get. And believe me, it shows that it's a new team sometimes, because there's some blunders that are unbelievable. But they have talent and they have the attitude to continue to press on. So it's been fun. It's interesting. They're a lot younger than I am, so it keeps me on my toes, that's for sure.
Yeah. So after that, you guys ended up. We had 2-second recap of the next game. You guys just basically faced Cobra Kai. You had outfielders limping, and they're just line kicks on you all day long. That's pretty much what happened, right?
They abandoned the bunt, and they went to kick, and they found a lot of – those guys could kick. They are phenomenal soccer players or just kickers in general. And we had a back-and-forth game. We took a 3-0 lead. They tied it up. They took a 2-run lead into the 6th inning by landing a few kicks as well. And then we came back with a comeback. We made a comeback and left the bases loaded, losing 6-5 and flying out to end the game. A couple of things that could have gone either way in that game too, but hats off to them. They won that game, no doubt. So, and they're great. That's a good. I enjoy playing those guys a lot. They're
one of my favorites to watch too. Just because it's impressive to see how well they kick. But then right after that, they basically ran into the buzz pitch.
I was crying.
What was that?
I said you were watching that game. I was crying at every freaking line drive I did it. Nobody to pull off the bench anymore either. They're all dead.
Yeah. Well, the next game, it could have gone either way, but they ran into a Sitch team that basically beat Flying V for the first time since you guys beat them in South Florida.
Yeah.
So Flying V hadn't lost in whatever, I can't do the math, 15, 20 some straight games.
Yeah.
And so Sitch beat them pretty handily, and then they fought Cobra Kai in the finals and beat them pretty handily. I believe it was like 5-1 or something like that.
They jumped all over them. They looked good. I guess their pool play wasn't as sharp as they'd probably want it. I know they lost to the Meatballs, but they turned it on in elims, and they were definitely the best team that I saw. From elims on, no doubt. They put on a clinic. I think your screen.
We had a pretty good audience. Somewhere varied between 60 to 100 plus people watching at any given time. So we had plenty of bored people like Bez at home to keep themselves entertained.
Can't believe he didn't make this one. Unreal.
So anyways, after that, we did our after party at Lynch's Irish Pub, which was a good little venue.
Yeah.
Stupid Gatorades got me again. I would just put it that way. Left my
balls and $2.
Almost walked out of the bar, leaving my card again. After I signed, I just left my card under the receipt. I hate that city. Anyway, so moving on to Sunday. This is another dual tournament weekend, so it's exhausting for most of us. But we had a nice extended break, or delayed start, I should say, 10:30 start time, which was much needed for most of us. What time did you get at the fields? How early were you out there?
Almost 11. I slept in nicely, but right, I was able to catch the first game of the day, but somewhere in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's tough. A lot of people either fly out, drive back, sometimes Sundays. So I can just touch on quite a few things that stood out that I loved. The first thing I definitely want to touch on, there they go. I love the fact that they have their own freaking school bus, essentially. Charter bus, whatever the hell it is.
I don't know. It has their name all over it. Did they buy that, or?
I don't know. I know a couple people from the team through video stuff, and man, I need to ask them because it's pretty awesome. Their logo's plastered on the side, on the back. There's a kickball. I want to know what the inside is like. I bet there's like a disco ball. It's got to be like velvet seats, something. I know they got a killer stereo system. They have to. But that was my favorite thing, really
great video.
setting stuff up, and all of a sudden this bus rolls up, and I'm like, holy all right. So anybody else who's ever won money in the circuit, that's a new thing. Step up your game, get yourself a bus.
Get yourself a bus. Yeah, no kidding. I told Cut a Pitch if they lost him, they had to steal the bus. Luckily, they didn't take me up on that. But
I was hoping another team would show up with a bus and they'd pay for the pink slips, like Fast and Furious. But no, only one bus so far. Maybe that's in the. Just talk about a couple other key matchups. I was walking around. There were only 4 fields, so it's pretty easy to scout and look at a lot of the teams. Jimmy had given me a lot of insight on his team, Lip Service. And so I knew that they were going to come out and surprise some people, and they got some good pieces. I'll definitely say that. I love the name. It's a great name for a women's team. But B, they do have the right pieces, and with a little bit of experience, watch out for them.
They got better as the day went on. They got better as the day went on, no doubt. I saw them in the first game. I think their first game was versus Bombshells, but I saw them in that game. And, they were a little slow go as far as their offense went and such. But you could see that they were athletic. They knew what they were doing. And then in their last game, they beat Cut a Pitch. And I think they put up some runs in their first game in evens. They lost, but it wasn't a bad loss. You could see there's some talent on that team, no doubt. And it's good to see a girls team out of Jacksonville, too.
Yeah, absolutely. The more the merrier, I like to say. But if each major city can produce one team, this thing will survive, and women will have their fun playing in the women's tournaments, and this thing will keep growing.
Yep, absolutely.
There were a couple of availables teams. I think good rosters on both teams. Cut a Pitch was one, Fish Whistle was the other. But it always going to come down to who can perform. And it was kind of interesting to see right away. You could tell Cut a Pitch came to play, and Fish Whistle just felt like they fell flat.
Yeah.
And it was kind of shocking because I'm out there looking like, okay, I've played with half these people before. I know most of the people out there. I'm like, and they just fell. It
was
happened.
surprising because fish whistles. They had a lot of very good girls on that team. Their coaching was good. I think Jimmy Wilcox and I know Keith was involved a little bit. I don't know if there was anybody else that was helping out, but they had Sitch girls, they had some Shockwave girls, they had a very good squad that it looked like that they should have been able to do a little bit better. But hey, listen, you throw a bunch of ingredients into a pot, doesn't make it soup. So it's it was probably a little disappointing for them. But Cutapitch did a nice job, and they're an interesting squad. They're pretty top heavy. They've got a lot of talent up top, and probably need a little bit more depth to help them get through a little bit further. But they went 2-2, and they lost to the team with the bus. I mean, you're always going to lose to the team with the bus. but they, overall they did a pretty good job just putting it together for the first time. And
yeah, I know.
What did you think? The NBA team doesn't look as sharp as they were last year, huh?
Well, they did lose a couple players.
Yeah.
Really want to keep up on the gossip. I'm sure you can figure out who or why. But I knew that they were traveling in light, so I think that was more of an issue than anything. I think they had like maybe 12, 13. But if you're traveling that light and you're missing one or two, primary pieces, it could be a little more difficult. But then again, it goes back to, I don't think there was a clear 1 or 2 or 3 in this whole tournament. I think there were 6 or 7 teams that could have all been the 1 seed coming out into a limbs. It was just one of those days, and I think they.
It was interesting from inning to inning and from game to game how momentum changes and how consistencies can change and such. I did watch a good amount of the Bombshells, and to me, out of everybody that I saw it, I didn't see Killer Instinct at all during the day. There was I think they were on the furthest field from me. There was the one team that I didn't see, but out of everybody else that I saw. The Bombshells were clearly the best team. They were phenomenally good and had the talent to carry that through. Obviously they just missed out, but they were consistent, and that was one thing that I saw that lacks from some of the teams that are not as good. Even in the Coed, when a team, and I'll use us as an example, when a team doesn't have the experience or doesn't have the best defense in the world, they're not as consistent and they don't make the choices that they should in at times. And in the women's game, it's magnified. And but with the Bombshells, for the most part, they were right on. And every game that I saw them, they were impressive. I didn't see the end, and I heard it was a close game. I know it was 5-4, 6-5, something like that they lost. And they probably just didn't execute offensively.
Yeah, it was interesting. We could touch on the finals in a little bit, but I was walking around, and I think after the second round of games, I kind of said, okay, it looks like Killer Instinct might be that team to beat. Mm-hmm. What I had heard up until, with the exception of GKO back in March, I think Killer Instinct has never lost a game. Someone told me that. So I was like, okay. And they looked that part from start to finish all day. They had
and they lost to I think, in GKO. So they lost to the team that won it.
Yeah. But I mean, they have a catcher that's probably the fastest catcher in women's kickball.
That's what you told me too. Wow.
They have infielders that just play smart. That's all it comes down to. Know when to hold the ball, know when to get back to the pitcher, know when to go after the runner. If you play smart, you're going to give up some base runners, but you're not going to give up as many runs, and that's kind of the whole goal. At the end, you're going to win. But they came out swinging. I think their first game for sure, maybe their second game too. They were both mercy rules, and they looked sharp. Just going on the rest of the day. 8 out of 10 teams made it out. It is what it is. Didn't really want to cut down from 10 to 4, but 10 to 8 was a good number. I think most of the matchups in the first round were lopsided, with the exception of DMV 18 having to play the Flying VJs in the first round. That just loaded that side of the bracket. But that ended being the side of the bracket that the Bombshells snuck out of too. So, I know you weren't there, but they were all good games. I think VJ's Bombshells was, I cannot remember the score, but it was pretty good. The other one, which was There They Go versus Killer Instinct, that was a mercy rule. So
yeah, that game was 10-0. The other one was, I don't know, I want to say maybe it was 7-4 or something like that.
I mean, when there's a mercy rule going into the finals, it's just, it's an eye opener. It's like, okay, this team is here to play. Something's. And so I knew going into the finals that those were the two best teams of the day, easily. They're the ones that performed the best. They performed the most consistent.
No doubt.
And it was a great game. I can't remember who scored first. I think it was Killer Instinct, but the score was like 4-1 most of the game. And I think it was maybe bottom of the fifth or top of the fifth. Whenever the Bombshells were up, they needed to get some runs, and they did. And I believe they tied it up. And this is right as the lights are starting to dim down, and Killer Instinct. I walked over to both coaches and I said, hey, listen, we're gonna finish this last half inning, which will be a full inning, and then we're gonna wait for the lights to turn on. They said something along the lines of, we don't need those lights to come on. We're gonna end it right now. And sure enough, boom, 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 textbook. I think they loaded the bases with no outs. What happened next? I mean, but congrats, to Killer Instinct. They did a great job. I want to give kudos to Bombshells too. If anybody looked more banged up than anybody else, it felt like it was them. I mean, I saw, Jess was Palace. They got like 9 Jesses on the team. He was literally limping, and I'm like, why are you still kicking? But I saw numerous girls like that where they had just massive, cherries and skin taken off their head. And they're hobbling and limping and swollen ankles. And I'm like, they get so into it, but they love it. And the part is, they're the ones that are going out to the bar on Sunday night. They know they're into the finals. We went to the bar, and the bar we were at, the whole DMV 18 team was there. And there were a few others on other teams, and most of them could barely even walk. But here they are trying to dance, and they love it. I love it.
Alcohol's a hell of a drug. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, they were definitely a little bit beat up. The one thing I could speak of the Bombshells though is that they have a lot of talent everywhere that they can plug and play. So if a charger goes down, or if a catcher goes down, or if they're they can move them right in. They can move it number 2 in, or next man up, I guess is next woman up.
It is very true. So, well, I look forward to the future. I hope those two teams meet again. It'd be awesome to see them earlier in the day, pool play or something when they're both fresh. I have no idea where either. I think Bombshells may have signed up for Denver, but I don't know when the next tournament is for Killer Instinct. But I hope to see them around. If it's regional, hopefully they can make the trip up to DC. But I definitely hope to see them around, because I think, seeing a team that good and
yeah, absolutely. We need the good thing about Coed is, I mean, listen, I think everybody agrees that Situation, Meatballs, and Flying V are probably the 3 top teams in the nation, because listen, they've won most of those tournaments, and you have some California teams that maybe can make a claim because they've won their California tournaments, but we all know what everybody believes of West Coast, but that's neither here nor there. You're a West Coaster. But there's still the feeling that in Coed that anybody can beat anybody on any given day, and you still have these lights out teams and Cobra Kai teams, and Shockwave is certainly a team that can step up and beat anybody. And listen, we've had an upset in South Florida. We had an upset in Jacksonville ourselves, where any given Sunday, girls, there is that elite step, and the Bombshells are there, and I don't, DMV I thought was there, but maybe not, and now this Killer Instinct team might be there. I would love to see 5 and 6 good girls teams. You don't want 1 and 2 dominating. You want a little bit of people spread out, and there is that's my only concern is that, if you look at one girls team and you look at the next one, the level between the top girls team and the bottom girls team is very, very, very big. But those middle teams can fill in. There's a lot of talented girls out there.
Yep.
And I think, hopefully it grows into that where we have, tournaments of 16 and maybe 5 or 6 can compete into that. And it's this Jacksonville, like I said, when I was done looking at everything, I was like, the Bombshells are the best team that I saw all day. I didn't see Killer Instinct, but I saw what the scores looked like, and DMV is always going to be there and such. And those are the teams that won.
Yeah, the one thing that I'll just add in closing, ninth women's event that we've done since we started these last year, and I noticed the gap is closing as far as scores.
Good.
Because when I go to edit videos, I'm seriously not going to waste my time editing the 15-0 game. First off, it can take me 2 hours plus, and not much value there. But that was the majority of games when I first started doing all this. You'd see a couple teams that were evenly matched that would have like a 7-6 game, but they were all high scoring, or the next game would be 15-0. But now you see scores of like 3-1, 2-4. That's it. It's fun. It's maturing. I think maturing is a good word to put it, and that makes me excited because it'll draw more spectators. More people are going to want to watch them, and I love the crowds. People get behind those close games very, very much so.
No. And hopefully increases attendance and such. And listen, I'm more apt to go to a tournament that I have a shot at than I am to get the crap kicked out of me. So hopefully, you have tournaments that have more, with a lot more teams that have a shot. But it's good. It's good for the girls' game, and it was definitely entertaining to watch. That's for sure. Some of those girls were freaking awesome, yeah. Ridiculously good, and they're learning the guy positions that used to be traditionally guy positions in Coed unbelievably well. And they're, once they limit mistakes and let their athleticism take over and think deeply before they do certain things, as far as throwing the ball when they shouldn't throw the ball or kicking the ball when they shouldn't kick, they're just going to get better and better. I mean, this is talking, Coed's been around since, early 2000s. Girls kickball has been around for a while, but girls competitive kickball, as we know it, at the level that it is right now, hasn't been around very long. So hopefully it gets better and better. I think it will.
So, all right. So appreciate you. Thanks to everyone that attended Jacksonville. Once again, thanks to all the volunteers. Thanks to the referees, especially the ones that work both days. I know it's rough standing on your feet most of the day. My feet are sore too from walking around, so I know exactly what everyone's going through. But thanks again to Jimmy Bush, and thanks, John, for jumping on here late 10, 11 o'clock, on a Monday night. But we enjoy it, and we'll see you at the next. Sound good?
Sounds good. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys.